3 weeks. That's how long I'd been getting the cold shoulder from my own wife. 3 weeks of watching her scroll through her phone while I tried to initiate any kind of physical connection. 3 weeks of being treated like a roommate who occasionally helped with the bills. It started subtle. A turned cheek when I leaned in for a kiss. Rolling away when I reached for her in bed. "I'm tired" became her favorite phrase, delivered with the enthusiasm of someone reading a grocery list. But it wasn't just the physical rejection that was eating at me. It was the complete emotional shutdown that came with it. I tried everything. Brought her coffee in the morning, planned a nice dinner at that Italian place she used to love, even suggested we take a weekend trip somewhere. Each attempt was met with the same lukewarm response. "That's nice," or "maybe later," or "my personal favorite. We'll see." The worst part? She wouldn't even look at me during these rejections. Just kept her eyes glued to whatever was on her screen, like I was some annoying interruption to her evening entertainment. I started wondering if I'd done something wrong, said something that offended her. But every time I asked, she'd wave me off with "nothing's wrong. I'm just not in the mood." For 3 weeks straight? Come on. Last Tuesday, I decided to address it head on. We were sitting on the couch after dinner, and she was doing her usual phone zombie routine while some Netflix show played in the background. I turned off the TV and sat facing her. "We need to talk about what's been happening between us." She didn't even look up from her phone. "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean. We haven't been intimate in weeks. You barely acknowledge me when I try to show you affection. We're living like strangers." Finally, she looked up, but with this expression like I was being dramatic. People go through phases. It's normal. 3 weeks isn't a phase. It's a pattern. She set her phone down with an exaggerated sigh. "Fine. What do you want me to say? That I should just force myself to be in the mood because you want attention? I want to understand why my wife treats me like I'm invisible in my own home." That's when her expression changed. Something cold flickered across her face, and she stood up from the couch. "You want to know the truth? You're always so needy. Always wanting something from me. My ex never made me feel this unappreciated." The words hit me like a physical blow. My ex never made me feel this unappreciated. She'd just compared our marriage to her previous relationship, compared me to the guy she was with before me. And apparently, I was coming up short. I sat there for a moment, processing what she'd just said. She was standing there with her arms crossed, like she'd just delivered some profound truth instead of a devastating insult. The woman I'd married, the woman I'd built a life with, had just told me that her ex-boyfriend was better at making her feel appreciated than I was. "So that's what this is about," I said quietly. "What? You're comparing me to him?" She rolled her eyes. "I'm not comparing anyone. I'm just saying that some men understand how to make a woman feel valued without being so demanding about it." Demanding. That's what she called wanting basic affection from my own wife. Demanding. I stood up slowly, feeling something fundamental shift inside me. Not anger, exactly. More like clarity. The kind of clarity you get when someone shows you exactly where you stand in their priorities. "I see. Don't be dramatic about this. You're making a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be." But I wasn't making a big deal. I was finally understanding the real deal. For 3 weeks, I'd been wondering what I'd done wrong. Turns out, my crime was existing in the same space as her memories of someone else. My crime was not measuring up to some idealized version of a relationship she decided was better than ours. I walked upstairs without another word. Behind me, I heard her call out, "Where are you going?" "We're not done talking about this." But we were done. We'd been done the moment she decided our marriage was worth less than her nostalgia for someone who wasn't even in her life anymore. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the wall. My ex never made me feel this unappreciated. The sentence kept playing in my head like a broken record. She hadn't just rejected me. She'd ranked me, and I'd lost to a ghost. That night, she came to bed like nothing had happened, brushed her teeth, did her skincare routine, climbed under the covers, and picked up her phone again. Business as usual for her. But something had changed for me. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was done begging for scraps of attention from someone who clearly didn't think I deserved them. I was done competing with a memory. As I lay there in the dark, listening to her scroll through social media beside me, I made a decision. I wasn't going to plead my case anymore. I wasn't going to try to convince her of my worth. I wasn't going to ask for what should have been freely given. Instead, I was going to give her exactly what she seemed to want. Space to appreciate just how undemanding her life could be without me in it. The next morning, I woke up with a strange sense of calm. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't planning how to reconnect with her. I wasn't thinking about romantic gestures or ways to spark conversation. I was thinking about logistics. She was already downstairs making coffee when I came down. Usually, I try to catch her before she left for work, maybe steal a kiss or ask about her day. Not today. I poured my own coffee, grabbed a banana, and headed for the door. "You're leaving early," she said, not really looking at me. "Yep." I didn't elaborate. Let her wonder. At work, I did something I'd never done before. I called my bank and opened a separate checking account. Nothing dramatic, just moved a portion of my paycheck into an account with only my name on it. Then I made a list of everything that was mine versus ours versus hers. Turned out, I'd been pretty generous over the years. Most of the valuable stuff had my name on it. When I got home that evening, she was on the couch in her usual spot, phone in hand, some reality show playing that she wasn't really watching. "How was your day?" she asked, still not looking up. "Fine. That's it. Just fine." I sat in the chair across from her instead of on the couch next to her. "What else would you like to know?" She finally looked at me, confused by my tone. "I don't know. You usually tell me about work or what happened or something." "Do I? I hadn't noticed you were listening." Her eyebrows went up. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Just making an observation." For the next few days, I kept this up, polite but distant. I stopped initiating conversations about our relationship, stopped asking about her day with any real interest, stopped suggesting activities we could do together. When she made passive-aggressive comments about my behavior, I responded with the kind of diplomatic politeness you'd use with a coworker you didn't particularly like. By Thursday, it was clearly getting to her. "You're being weird," she announced during dinner. "Weird how?" "I don't know. Different." "Cool." I looked up from my plate. "I'm giving you what you asked for. Space to feel undemanding." "That's not what I said. You said I was too needy. So I'm being less needy." "Problem solved." She put her fork down. "You're being passive-aggressive." "No, I'm being responsive. There's a difference." "What does that even mean?" I leaned back in my chair. "It means I'm no longer going to pursue someone who clearly doesn't want to be pursued. You made it very clear that my attention feels like pressure to you. So consider the pressure officially lifted. You're acting like a child. Actually, I'm acting like an adult who listened to what his wife told him and adjusted his behavior accordingly." She stared at me for a long moment. "I didn't say I didn't want your attention. I said you were being needy about it. Right? And apparently your ex had figured out how to give you attention without being needy about it. So obviously my approach was wrong." Her face flushed. "You're never going to let that go, are you?" "Let what go?" "The fact that you compared our marriage to your previous relationship and found it lacking? Why would I let that go?" It was very educational. I was frustrated. People say things when they're frustrated. Sure they do. They say what they're really thinking. That weekend, while she was out with friends, I quietly gathered all my important documents: birth certificate, passport, financial records, insurance papers. I organized them in a folder and put it in my car. Then I went through the house and made a mental inventory of what I'd brought into the marriage versus what we'd acquired together. Sunday evening, she tried a different approach. "I've been thinking about what we talked about," she said, settling next to me on the couch for the first time in days. "Which conversation was that?" "About us. About the intimacy thing." I muted the TV and turned to face her. "And maybe we should try to work on it together. Go to counseling or something." "Counseling for what?" "For our communication issues." I almost laughed. "Our communication seems pretty clear to me. You told me exactly how you feel about our relationship. I heard you loud and clear. You're twisting what I said." "Am I?" "Because what I heard was that your ex-boyfriend was better at making you feel appreciated than your husband is." Did I misunderstand something? She was quiet for a moment. "That's not how I meant it." "How did you mean it?" "I meant that maybe you could learn from how other men approach relationships." "Other men? Like your ex?" "Like men who understand that appreciation isn't just about physical attention." I nodded slowly. "So this is still about me not measuring up to your standard, which is apparently based on another man." "That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying?" She fumbled for words. "I'm saying that maybe we both need to try harder." "You know what? You're absolutely right." I stood up and headed for the stairs. "Where are you going?" "To try harder. Just not in the way you're expecting." That night, I lay in bed next to her, planning. She thought this was about me being sulky or throwing a tantrum. She thought I'd eventually come around, apologize for being distant, and things would go back to normal. She thought she could make a comparison like that, and then smooth it over with some vague talk about working on things together. She was wrong. Monday morning, I took a personal day from work. Told my boss I had some family matters to attend to, which wasn't technically a lie. I was attending to the matter of my family falling apart. While she was at work, I went to see a lawyer. Not to file papers yet, but to understand my options. To know what I'd be walking into if things went the way I suspected they would. The lawyer was straightforward. How long have you been married? 6 years. Any kids? No. Joint property? The house is in both our names. Most of the other major assets are mine. He nodded. That simplifies things. You thinking about separation or divorce? I'm thinking about what my life looks like without someone who doesn't appreciate it. Fair enough. Here's what you need to know. By the time I got home that evening, I had a clear picture of my legal position. I also had something else, a timeline. Not for leaving, exactly, but for being ready to leave when the moment was right. Because I had a feeling that moment was coming soon. Friday morning came like any other day, except it wasn't. She was still asleep when my alarm went off at 5:30. I'd been setting it earlier all week, claiming I wanted to hit the gym before work. Really, I'd been using the extra time to finalize my preparations. I moved through the house like I'd rehearsed it, which in a way, I had. 2 large duffel bags from the closet. Essential clothes for 2 weeks. Laptop, chargers, toiletries. The folder with my documents was already in my car. My important tools from the garage. The watch my father gave me. The signed baseball from when I was 12. Everything else could wait. This wasn't about taking everything I owned. This was about taking everything I needed to start over. The hardest part was being quiet. Every footstep felt amplified. Every zipper sounded like a chainsaw. But she was a heavy sleeper, especially on weekends, and I'd learned her patterns over 6 years of marriage. Before I left, I wrote a note on a piece of paper and left it on the kitchen counter where she'd see it when she came down for coffee. You wanted to feel appreciated. Now you can discover what that actually means. Simple, direct, no drama, no accusations, no emotional manipulation. Just a fact. I drove to my buddy Dave's place across town. He'd been expecting me since Wednesday, when I'd finally told him what was happening. Dave had gone through his own divorce 2 years ago, so he understood the position I was in better than most. How you feeling? He asked when I showed up with my bags. Lighter than I have in months. Good. That's how you should feel. I set up in his guest room and turned off my phone. I wanted her to discover my absence naturally, not because I failed to answer a text or call. I wanted her to come downstairs, see the note, realize my stuff was gone, and understand that this wasn't a dramatic exit for attention. This was a decision. Around noon, I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls. 12 text messages. The progression was interesting to watch. First message, sent at 8:47 a.m. Where are you? Your note doesn't make sense. Second message, 9:15 a.m. Seriously, where did you go? This isn't funny. By 10:30 a.m. Answer your phone now. 11:15 a.m. If you think this is going to solve anything, you're wrong. The calls started getting more frequent after that. I let them all go to voicemail. By evening, I had 47 missed calls and 23 messages. The tone shift was remarkable. The afternoon messages were angry. You can't just leave without talking about this. And this is childish and you know it. By evening, they'd shifted to bargaining. I know you're upset, but we can work through this. And just come home so we can talk. The late night messages were different. I'm scared. Where are you staying? And please just let me know you're okay. But I noticed something she didn't say in any of those messages. She never said she was wrong about the comparison. Never acknowledged that what she'd said was hurtful. Never apologized for ranking our marriage against her previous relationship. Dave noticed me checking my phone Saturday morning. She freaking out. She's progressing through the stages. Right now we're somewhere between anger and bargaining. You gonna respond? Not yet. She needs to understand this isn't a negotiation. This is a consequence. Saturday afternoon, she tried a new strategy. She showed up at Dave's place. I watched from the window as she pounded on the front door. Dave answered, and I could hear her voice even from upstairs. I know he's here. I need to talk to him. He doesn't want to talk to you right now. He's my husband, and you're the reason he's here instead of at home. She stood on the porch for 20 minutes, alternating between yelling at the door and calling my phone. Finally, she left, but not before shouting loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. This is ridiculous. You can't hide forever. Sunday was quieter. Only a few calls, Fewer messages. Either she was regrouping or she was starting to accept that I wasn't coming back just because she demanded it. Monday morning, she tried going to my workplace. I'd anticipated this and had already spoken to security about keeping her out if she showed up. The head of security called me around 10 a.m. Your wife was here asking for you. We told her you weren't available and asked her to leave. She didn't take it well. Define didn't take it well. She caused enough of a scene that we had to escort her off the property. Nothing too dramatic, but she was definitely upset. The humiliation of being removed from my office building in front of my colleagues would hit her hard. She cared a lot about appearances, about what people thought of our marriage. Having security escort her out would feel like a public acknowledgement that our relationship was in serious trouble. That evening, the messages changed again. I can't believe you had me escorted out of your work like I'm some crazy person. Everyone's asking what's wrong with us. What am I supposed to tell them? This is affecting more than just us. Your behavior is embarrassing. My behavior. Even now, she was making this about what I was doing wrong, not about what had led us to this point. Tuesday night, she tried calling from her sister's phone, probably thinking I'd answer if I didn't recognize the number. I let it go to voicemail. I know you're ignoring my calls, but this is getting out of hand. I talked to my sister about what happened between us, and she thinks you're overreacting. We all say things we don't mean when we're frustrated. I said I was sorry, except she hadn't said she was sorry. Not once, in any of her messages. She'd explained, justified, minimized, and blamed, but she'd never actually apologized. Wednesday morning, I got a text that was different from all the others. I went to see a counselor yesterday. She said I need to take responsibility for my part in this. I'm trying to understand what I did wrong, but I can't fix it if you won't talk to me. For the first time since I'd left, she was acknowledging that she might have done something wrong. Not apologizing for it yet, but at least acknowledging it existed. But acknowledgement wasn't enough. Understanding that you hurt someone doesn't undo the hurt. And it doesn't change the fundamental issue. She'd compared our marriage to her past relationship and found it lacking. Even if she apologized now, even if she promised never to make that comparison again, the damage was done. She'd shown me exactly how she saw our relationship, and I couldn't unsee it. By Thursday, the messages had become desperate. It's been a week. A week. You've made your point. Now please come home. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't focus on anything. Whatever you want me to say, I'll say it. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. But that was the problem. I didn't want her to say or do anything because I demanded it. I wanted her to value what we had without needing to be taught how. I wanted her to appreciate our marriage without comparing it to something else. And she'd proven she couldn't do that. Friday morning, exactly 1 week after I'd left, I got a call from her sister. Her sister's name flashed on my phone screen Friday morning. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. She's losing her mind, were the first words out of her mouth. No hello, no pleasantries. She hasn't slept in 3 days. She's calling in sick to work. She sits in your house crying and staring at that note you left. Good morning to you too. Don't be sarcastic with me. Do you have any idea what you've done to her? I've given her exactly what she wanted. Space to feel undemanding. That's not what she wanted, and you know it. I sat down on Dave's couch, phone in one hand, coffee in the other. Actually, that's exactly what she said she wanted. She said I was too needy. She said her ex never made her feel unappreciated like I did. So I removed myself from the equation. She didn't mean it like that. How did she mean it? Silence on the other end. Then, she was just frustrated. Right? And when people are frustrated, they say what they really think. She really thinks her ex-boyfriend was better at making her feel appreciated than her husband is. So now she's free to appreciate that memory without my needy interference. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Her sister tried a different approach. Look, she knows she messed up. She's been beating herself up about it all week. Has she? Because in all the messages she's sent me, she's never once apologized for what she said. She's explained it, justified it, minimized it, but she's never said, I'm sorry for comparing our marriage to my previous relationship. She's scared you won't forgive her. She should be more scared that she meant what she said. What does that mean? It means you don't accidentally compare your spouse to someone else and find them lacking. That's not something that slips out when you're frustrated. That's something you've been thinking for a while. The conversation went on for another 10 minutes, with her sister trying every angle she could think of. I was being too harsh. Marriage was about forgiveness. Everyone makes mistakes. She'd learned her lesson. But the lesson she needed to learn wasn't about watching her words when she was frustrated. The lesson was about appreciating what you have before you lose it. And that was a lesson she was going to have to learn the hard way. After I hung up, I realized something had shifted in me over the past week. The anger was gone. The hurt was fading. What remained was clarity. Crystal clear understanding of where I stood in her priorities, and crystal clear resolve about what I was going to do about it. Saturday, she tried something new. Instead of calling or texting, she showed up at every place she thought I might be. The gym I used to go to, the sports bar where I watch games sometimes, the bookstore where I bought her birthday present last year. Dave's neighbor called him around 2 in the afternoon. There's a woman sitting in a car outside your house. She's been there for 3 hours. I looked out the window. Sure enough, there was her car, parked across the street. She was just sitting there, waiting, probably hoping I'd come outside so she could ambush me with a conversation. How long you think she'll stay? Dave asked. Until she realizes I'm not coming out. She stayed until almost midnight, just sitting in her car, occasionally getting out to walk around the block, then getting back in to wait some more. The dedication was impressive, but it proved exactly what I'd suspected. She still thought this was about getting me to talk to her. She thought if she could just get me in a room, she could explain her way out of what she'd said. Sunday morning, I got a text from her. I saw your car at Dave's. I know you're there. I waited all day yesterday. I'll wait all day today if I have to. I texted back, don't. It was the first word I'd sent her since leaving the note on the counter. Within seconds, my phone rang. Thank God you answered. We need to talk. No, we don't. Yes, we do. You can't just throw away 6 years of marriage over one argument. This wasn't an argument. Arguments are between equals. This was you telling me exactly how you feel about our relationship. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Wrong about what? About what I said. About comparing you to him. So you didn't mean it? Pause. I meant it at the time, but I was angry and… Stop. You meant it at the time. That's all I need to know. People say things they don't mean when they're upset. No, they say things they usually keep to themselves. You've been thinking about your ex and how he made you feel compared to how I make you feel. You've been keeping score, and I've been losing. That's not true. Then why did you say it? Another pause. Longer this time. I don't know. You do know. You just don't want to admit it. Fine. Maybe I have thought about it sometimes. But that doesn't mean I don't love you. There it was. The truth she'd been dancing around for a week. She had been comparing us. Regularly. And I'd been coming up short in her mental scoreboard. Thank you for being honest. So you'll come home now? No. Why not? I told you the truth. The truth is exactly why I'm not coming home. You love me, but you don't appreciate me. You love me, but you think someone else was better at making you feel valued. You love me, but you wish I was more like him. I never said that. You didn't have to. It was implied in everything you did say. She started crying. I could hear it through the phone. I can't lose you over this. I can't lose us. You already did. The moment you decided our marriage was worth less than your memories of someone else. But I choose you. I married you. You settled for me. After realizing he wasn't coming back, you settled for what you could get. And for 6 years, I was grateful to be chosen. But I'm done being grateful for scraps. That's not how it was. Then how was it? Silence. Exactly. I hung up. Within an hour, I had 14 missed calls from her and a string of text messages that progressed from pleading to anger to bargaining and back to pleading. I can change. I'll never mention him again. We can go to counseling. I'll do whatever you want. Please don't give up on us. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The apology I'd been waiting for finally came, buried in a desperate text message. But it was too little, too late. Sorry doesn't undo the revelation that your spouse has been mentally comparing you to their ex for years. Sorry doesn't erase the knowledge that you've been found wanting in that comparison. That evening, Dave found me sitting on his back porch with a beer, staring at nothing in particular. Rough day. She finally admitted she's been comparing me to her ex, said she thinks about it sometimes. Ouch. Yeah, but at least now I know I wasn't imagining things. All those times she seemed distant. All those times she acted like my affection was annoying rather than welcome. She was measuring me against some idealized memory of another man. What now? Now I stop letting her waste both our time pretending this marriage is something it isn't. Monday morning, I called the lawyer again and scheduled an appointment for that afternoon. It was time to stop reacting and start acting. It was time to make this official. Because I finally understood something important. You can't make someone appreciate you. You can't convince someone to value what they already decided isn't valuable enough. And you can't compete with a ghost that exists only in their memory, perfect and untouchable. But you can refuse to spend your life trying. Tuesday morning, her sister called screaming. She hasn't eaten in 3 days. She's not sleeping. You need to come home right now. No, she's falling apart. I've never seen her like this. I set down my coffee. That's what happens when you realize what you've lost. How can you be so heartless? She made one mistake. One mistake? She's been comparing me to her ex for years. What she said wasn't a slip of the tongue. It was the truth finally coming out. She realizes she was wrong. Does she? Because when I asked her about it, she admitted she thinks about the comparison sometimes. That's not regret. That's getting caught. Her sister's voice cracked. Marriage is about forgiveness. This isn't about forgiveness. You can't forgive someone for how they truly feel. She showed me exactly where I rank compared to her ex, and I refuse to spend my life competing with a ghost. She needs you. She needs to learn that actions have consequences. Wednesday evening, both her sister and mother showed up at Dave's door. We need to talk, her mother announced. No, we don't. She's my daughter, and she's destroying herself over this. She destroyed our marriage the moment she compared it to her previous relationship. I'm just acknowledging what already happened. Her sister stepped forward. She's been crying for 2 weeks. She can't eat, can't sleep, can't function. Maybe she should have thought about that before telling me her ex never made her feel unappreciated. You took vows, her mother said. So did she. Hard to cherish someone while wishing they were someone else. She chose you. She settled for me after her first choice didn't work out. I was grateful to be chosen for 6 years. But I'm done being grateful for scraps. Her mother tried one last approach. What would it take to fix this? She'd have to become a completely different person. Someone who appreciates what she has instead of longing for what she doesn't have. Someone who doesn't keep mental scorecards between her current relationship and past ones. People can change. Can she change the fact that she's been thinking about her ex and how he made her feel compared to me? Can she change that when frustrated, her instinct was to compare our marriage to another relationship? Can she change that I've been losing a competition I didn't know I was in? Neither answered. That's what I thought. Her sister made one final plea. She's going to keep falling apart until you come back. Then she'll keep falling apart. I'm not coming back to be someone's second choice. I'm not coming back to spend my life trying to measure up to an ex-boyfriend. Thursday morning, I signed the divorce papers. Friday afternoon, 2 weeks after I'd walked out, I finally called her. She answered before the first ring finished. Thank God. Please come home. I'm so sorry. I've been such an idiot. I know what I said was terrible, but I love you. I choose you. I want to fix this. I let her finish. Let her get it all out. The apologies, the promises, the desperation. Are you done? Please just come home and we can work through this together. There's nothing to work through. You taught me something important about how you really see our marriage, and I'm grateful for that lesson. What lesson? That I was never enough compared to your ex. That when you married me, you were settling for what was available after your first choice didn't work out. That for 6 years, I've been competing with a memory and losing. That's not true. It is true. And you know what? Thank you for finally being honest about it. It saved me from wasting more years trying to be someone I'm not. I was wrong. I was angry and stupid, and I said something horrible that I didn't mean. You meant every word. People don't accidentally compare their spouse to someone else and find them lacking. That comes from years of thinking about it. I can change. We can go to counseling. You can't change how you fundamentally feel about me. You can learn to hide it better, but you can't change it. And I refuse to spend my life being someone's consolation prize. Her voice broke. Please don't do this. I need you. No. You need to learn that you can't tell your husband he doesn't measure up to your ex, and then expect him to stick around for more comparisons. But I love you. You love having a husband. You love the security and companionship. But you don't love me enough to appreciate me without comparing me to someone else. That's not fair. What's not fair is marrying someone while still emotionally invested in your past. What's not fair is making me compete with a ghost for 6 years without telling me there was a competition. She was crying now. I'll never mention him again. I'll never think about him again. Too late. You've already shown me where I stand. You've already revealed that when our marriage gets difficult, your first instinct is to compare it to another relationship and find it lacking. So that's it. You're giving up on us. I'm not giving up. I'm accepting reality. The reality is that you don't appreciate what you have until you lose it. The reality is that I deserve someone who chooses me first, not someone who settles for me after their first choice doesn't work out. I did choose you. You chose what was available. There's a difference. What can I do? Tell me what to do, and I'll do it. There's nothing you can do. You can't undo 6 years of mental comparisons. You can't change the fact that I now know exactly how you see our marriage. And you can't make me forget that when you were frustrated with me, your response was to remind me that another man did it better. Please, I've already filed for divorce. You'll be served papers next week. This conversation is my courtesy call to let you know it's over. You can't just throw away everything we built. I'm not throwing it away. I'm finally acknowledging that what we built was never what I thought it was. I thought we built a marriage between two people who chose each other. Turns out, we built a marriage between someone who chose and someone who settled. I never settled. Yes, you did. And now you get to experience what it's like to lose what you settled for. I won't sign the papers. You don't have to. After the waiting period, it'll go through anyway. But I'd recommend you sign them. Make this easy on both of us. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You wanted to feel appreciated. Now you can spend the rest of your life appreciating what you had after it's gone. I hung up and blocked her number. 3 months later, the divorce was final. I heard through mutual friends that she'd moved back in with her parents, that she'd tried dating but couldn't connect with anyone, that she'd told people she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. But mistakes can be forgiven. What she'd done wasn't a mistake. It was a revelation of her true feelings, and I was grateful she'd finally been honest about them. I never looked back.